Well, guys, UFC 256 added a banger. I'm talking about the boogeyman, Tony Ferguson, taking on Charles Olivera. Nick and I are talking about that exciting matchup right now. What's up, Barnhill fam? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
We got Nick in the hash guard today.
Yeah, I know it.
We're going to go do some training after this, so you figured why not just go ahead and throw the clothes on.
Right. Well, in between workouts, I'm always dirtying up clothes and putting new clothes on. So what's the point of dirtying up a new shirt and pants for the podcast when I got to put this on anyways right after to go train? So
plus you got a nice new setup there, and you just wanted to show all the listeners your jiu-jitsu threads.
Exactly.
I don't blame you.
If you're listening, then you're missing out, but if you're watching, then enjoy. No.
So we got a good fight, UFC 256. You know, it was last week we were talking about this not even happening anymore, and now we've got a quick turnaround at 125. We got the belt back on the line there, and we've got what I think is the best fight of the night. Charles Olivera was my black horse of the division for 155. I thought that he was going to have a breakout year in 2021. Tony Ferguson's looking to derail that at the end of 2020.
Yeah, and everybody's been eager to see Tony Ferguson back in the octagon ever since his loss to Justin Gaethje. But nobody's been as eager to get back in the octagon as Tony Ferguson. So he's been chomping at the bit. There was talks that he was going to get in there quickly. Quick turnaround after his loss. Things kind of didn't go his way. And, you know, there was just some issues with finding an opponent. Then Michael Chandler comes along, and they're going to make that fight happen, which everybody was down to see. And then some things happened, and that one fell through his fingertips as well. But it looks like we've got really one of the best fights that the 155 division can make on our hands, and it's only a couple weeks away now.
Yeah, this is a really good fight, and this is one that as soon as it was announced, I was like, oh, man, I am really excited about this one. I mean, you talk about Charles Olivera. He's on a 7-fight win streak. He hasn't lost since moving to 155.
Right.
He's 7-0, 5 of those coming by way of submission, the other 2 knockouts. Yeah. So 0 judges' decisions in the last 3 years for Do Bronx. And then you have Tony Ferguson, who hadn't lost since 2012 until he lost to Justin Gaethje. And I think Tony Ferguson's going to be coming back with a vengeance here and trying to cement himself as the #1 contender that he was before he got derailed by Gaethje.
Yeah, I don't think many people took him very far out of that spot, but with the stacked top portion of the 155 division, it's hard coming off a loss to remain the guy or one of the top guys. So I think with one win against a guy like Do Bronx Olivera, Tony Ferguson will find himself right back in the #1 contender spot and potentially in a title fight. But Charles Olivera has really found his stride at 155, and it's so funny, you know, everybody thinks once you're in fighting, be the biggest guy you can possibly be in the smallest division you can possibly get down to. And for some people, that works. For others, like Olivera, it just simply doesn't. I mean, he was doing good. He was a great fighter at 145, but he finds 155 to be his new home, and he moves well there. I guess he doesn't dehydrate himself 10 extra pounds, feels more comfortable, and I mean, results speak for themselves if you look at his last few fights.
Ooh, yeah, I'm telling you, he really does look good. And he came out in an interview and said, UFC 256 is my time. I'm going to prove that I am the guy at 155. Yeah. Now that Khabib's gone, he's saying, I'm going to cement myself with a dominant victory over Ferguson. And we can kind of get into the X's and O's of the fight itself. You know, what more can you say than both of these guys are highly skilled everywhere? You talk about great striking. You talk about great grappling. They're both black belts. You know, Ferguson's very proud of that 10th planet black belt he has under Eddie Bravo. Olivera is a 3rd-degree black belt from Brazil, lives in Brazil, trains at Chute Box. These guys are really, really good fighters. And by the way, 2 of the hardest fight names in all of MMA. Do Bronx, I did some research, stands for from the ghetto. So like Do Bronx is the ghetto in Portuguese. And so when they would see him walking around the street, they would say, that's the kid Do Bronx. And so he's Charles from the ghetto, and he's going up against the boogeyman himself, the Mexican boogeyman El Cucuy. So just wanted to make a note there that those are two really tough fight names.
Very cool fight names, and they're in different languages, so it makes it sound even
you
cooler.
got the Spanish and the Portuguese.
Yeah, they roll off the tongue really well, and especially in a sport with a lot of horrible nicknames. But
by the way, just a side note, in Bellator the other night, I almost came out of my chair when they announced the guy, I can't even remember his name now, that was fighting Benson Henderson, and his fight name is the Ass Kicking Machine.
Yeah,
I can't decide whether that's the worst fight name ever or the best.
No,
it's one of the two.
I'm leaning more towards the best. And what I like about it is he forces whoever's announcing the fight to say the Ass Kicking Machine. It was the guy, the Bellator guy. I can't remember his name.
The announcer, Michael Bell,
And he's in there going, "Your winner by unanimous decision, the Ass Kicking Machine." And I hope YouTube allows.
I just hope he gets at least one fight in the UFC, because I want to hear Bruce Buffer announce him.
Yeah, that would be truly amazing. But yeah, we talk about getting into the X's and O's on this fight. That's really what it is. This is high level mixed martial arts, and of course, Tony Ferguson's a character, and he's going to come with a little bit of that trash talk, and he'll wear the sunglasses, a little bit of that stuff. But I don't see these guys having a crazy feud and coming at each other with vengeance or any super harsh words. They're both fierce competitors. They both clearly respect each other. And I think they're just more or less looking to become the number one guy at 155 now that Khabib's gone. And basically, if Tony Ferguson can get past Olivera, that cements him right where he stays. And if Olivera can get past Tony Ferguson, well, then we have a new number one contender on our hands.
Yeah, I mean, most guys wouldn't want to fight Tony Ferguson to begin with.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anybody wants to fight Tony Ferguson with a chip on his shoulder coming off of a loss. He's going to be coming out with a reckless abandon, I believe.
It's been a while since somebody has fought Tony Ferguson coming off a loss. So, I mean, he was on a 12 or 13 fight win streak before Gaethje derailed him. And
Michael Johnson was the last person to beat him, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
In 2012.
Totally different fighters back in 2012. Man, that's so long ago. But, yeah, I'm very excited to see how Olivera can fare with the top of the heap. We've seen him in there with the Kevin Lees and some of the other folks and some of the more dominant folks in the 155 divisions past. But there's a new stable of top 5, top 6 guys at 155. And Olivera, he's right there. He's one of them. He just hasn't been tested against many of the other ones as of right now. But I think his performance against Kevin Lee more than made him capable of competing with
both of these guys are going to come out, and they are going to I think this is going to be fight of the night.
Could be.
I really do. Both of these guys are hard to finish. Yeah. I mean, and you talk about Olivera, how does he finish people when he finishes them? Well, 19 of his victories, I think he's got 27 or 28, 19 of them come by way of submission. Mm-hmm. And so good luck submitting Tony Ferguson. Good luck submitting Tony Ferguson. But then on the other side, he's kind of the Darce man. He's very proud of that 10th Planet black belt. He likes to catch people in chokes. He's a submission expert himself. I'm hoping that we see at least a couple of minutes of these two guys on the ground fighting for position and shooting for submissions. Yeah,
I would really hope that this fight makes it to the ground at some point. I have a feeling it will because, Tony does a lot of things and Olivera's not exactly a wrestler, but Tony does a lot of things that compromise his stance, and that's not because he doesn't realize it. He knows good and well when he's in range for somebody to take him down. He just doesn't care. He's willing to strike with you and get that close to you and leave himself exposed to get taken down because he's a nightmare to have on the ground. I mean, when it comes to elbows from the bottom and submission attempts from the bottom, ground and pound from the bottom, he might be the best in the entire sport. Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing about it is he's one of the few fighters where if you're his coach, you're really not super concerned about him being on his back and being in the guard. We train jiu-jitsu and we train MMA style, Muay Thai, stuff like that. And one of the key differentiators is in jiu-jitsu, you're perfect. The guard is sort of a 50-50 position. If you're in somebody's guard, you guys are both kind of in a neutral place. In MMA, if you're in someone's guard, especially if they know how to impose ground and pound, you can be in a world of trouble. Yeah. So very few people are super comfortable from the back
like Nate Diaz would be a great example as well. Tony Ferguson, that are actually dangerous and active from being in the guard position, throwing elbows, cutting you open. Tony Ferguson has cut many a man open from his back. So, and then Olivera, he's obviously got some great pressure grappling. He moves position really well. He gets dominant position and shoots for those submissions. So I'm really hoping that we see this become a grappling match, at least for a certain part of the fight. I also do want to see him throw hands as well.
Yeah, and they will. And Tony Ferguson historically would probably go down as the better striker of the two. But as of late, Charles Oliveira's looked really good with his hands and with his striking. So I don't want to go ahead and say that if it's standing up and the portions of the fight standing up are automatically going to go to Tony, because I don't think that's the case. No. I think he might have an advantage there. But when it gets to the ground, it's going to be a very interesting scrambling event, and I'm super excited. It's one of those fights where you don't really know where it's going to wind up, and it could wind up all over the place, all over the octagon, and we're going to get a great show with fireworks pretty much wherever it happens.
Yeah, I think so, and I think you're going to see the best out of both of these guys because there's so much at stake here.
Yes.
Connor's looming out there. He's in the division. He's saying he wants to fight and be active. You have the title shot. However the title shakes itself out, the winner of this fight would be pretty hard to deny as not having a seat at the table, or at least being in the discussion of getting that next title shot. So there's a lot riding on this fight. It's for Ferguson, it's for him to say, look, I hit a speed bump. That way everybody has a bad night, I'm back. And for Olivera, it's I'm cementing myself as not only just a guy who's in the top 10, who's dangerous, but a guy who's coming for that belt.
Yeah. I think on any given night, either of these two guys could be wearing the UFC's brand new snazzy looking UFC title for the lightweight division. I think that with these quick turnarounds happening, if one of these guys can get a finish early and not take much damage, we might wind up seeing them on the January 23rd card, adding to the list of lightweights that are supposedly on that card. I mean, we already know the main event will be Conor and Dustin. That's kind of official. Yeah. It's official without being like totally
Conor
official.
Will not be co-maining any event ever again, probably.
Right. And from what I understand, Michael Chandler has a date, which is January 23rd.
And we only assume that would be Justin Gaethje.
Yeah.
Or maybe Dan Hooker.
Dan Hooker, Justin Gaethje. I was thinking RDA, even though he is new back to the division, and he did go through a 5-round fight with Paul Felder, but he didn't take a ton of damage in that fight.
Yeah, he did kind of use his grappling very much in that fight.
Right.
So.
I personally would like to see Michael Chandler tested by somebody like an RDA who's just a UFC vet, rather than jump the line. And I think it's cool for the entertainment factor and he's just kind of like one-upping everybody. And what, is he going to wind up in a title fight in his first fight in the UFC? I don't think so, but I think there is something to be said for climbing the ranks, and there's nobody to start your career in the UFC if you're a multiple-time world champion in other organizations than with RDA.
Yeah, no, that would be a great first test, and that would not be a gimme for Michael Chandler.
Absolutely
he would have to show up and really fight. Absolutely one thing that's interesting about Olivera and Ferguson is that the odds makers do have this pretty close. Olivera's plus 110 and Fergus the slight favorite at minus 130.
Okay.
And I think that's pretty dead on.
Yeah. I if you ask me who to pick, if I had to pick a fighter right now that I think is going to win, or I would have to put money on, I would probably go with Tony Ferguson, because I do think he has that slight advantage in the striking, and he's a nightmare to try to submit. He's a scrambler. Imagine trying to hold Tony Ferguson down in jiu-jitsu. Probably a nightmare. Not saying Olivera can't, but it's just probably a nightmare. And as the fight progresses and things happen, they get bloody, they get sweaty, it's going to become harder and harder for submissions to happen, which I think is where Charles Olivera would most likely find the victory. And I think
if history is any indicator, that would
right,
be
which in this sport it never is, or sometimes it always is, sometimes it always isn't. You just have to kind of watch the fight and let it unfold itself.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Ferguson too. I think this thing goes all 5 rounds. Yeah. I think this is a war. I think this is one of the best 155 fights of the year.
Yeah,
and I think it's gonna live up to that expectation. And I think that it goes 5 rounds, and I think Tony Ferguson wins 4 rounds to 1, maybe 3-2.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a pretty good prediction. Pretty safe too. I think that's probably right on point.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Is Tony Ferguson going to win his comeback fight, or is Do Bronx going to continue his winning ways and get even closer to that title shot?
Also, who has the cooler nickname, El Cucuy or Do Bronx? Because I think they're both pretty cool. It's kind of a toss-up for me. But now knowing what Do Bronx means,
that's pretty tough.
Pretty damn tough.
Not quite as tough as the ass-kicking machine.
Yeah.
Let us know what you guys think about that one in the comments as well. And as always, guys, we appreciate you watching the show. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. And check us out where you listen to audio. We have a podcast audio version available as well.
Awesome.
So, thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Peace.